Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wrestling Rant. It has been a very long time since I have done one of these videos, mainly because the world of pro wrestling here in the United States is kind of dog shit, and it has been for several years. Um, I've done a couple of little rants here and there about different things that uh, brought my piss to a boil. Uh, and here we are again because the same shit just happened. I just got done watching Monday Night Raw, June 13th, 2022, just to make sure nobody misses the date, even though it's in the title of the video and the description. Um, Let me get the comments up on my phone, even though I doubt anybody's going to come in. Yes. Another thing that I should mention. Another thing that I should mention is there is a nasty weather alert in effect in my area. So the stupid, um, yeah, the stupid feed could drop at any minute. Apparently we're having thunderstorms and that kind of shit, so that could blow out both the power to my apartment as well as the internet connection, so... Anyways... Uh, anyways, I just got done watching Monday Night Raw, and good lord, this show was boring. So they're getting ready to head towards the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, I believe. And so they're doing qualifying matches for who's going to be in the Money in the Bank matches, and they're doing this for both the men and the women. Yeah. Um, I don't even really know where to start. This is not going to be the normal kind of wrestling rant video that you might be used to from the past, where I would actually take down notes and read them off and all this other bullshit. I didn't have the fucking time for that, and I didn't give a shit to waste the damn paper on it. So, um, we're just doing this freestyle. Um, but from what I remember, the show opened up with an in-ring talking segment. Matt Riddle in the ring with Paul Heyman and The Miz? Yes, I think it was actually a Miz TV segment. Because it's about the only way The Miz can fucking stay relevant in the WWE anymore. And the only way to justify him having that stupid fucking show, which I believe is on the E Network, Miz and Mrs. Him and his fucking wife. Yeah. So anyways, they're having this talking segment, and Riddle and Heyman are going back and forth, and the whole point is they're leading up to a match between Riddle and Roman Reigns, because of course Paul Heyman is the advocate for Roman Reigns. I haven't been able to talk about Roman Reigns in a while because I haven't been playing this game, I haven't been doing my normal wrestling rants or anything like that for a while. But this whole gimmick with Roman Reigns is just lousy. It is laughably bad that he is doing this gimmick where he's like, acknowledge me. And what I see when I look at this motherfucker doing this lame-ass bullshit. What I see is, notice me, senpai! This fucking tool who was booed out of the arena as a babyface for fucking months, if not years, when Vince was trying to shove him down everybody's fucking throats. No one would fucking accept him. No one would accept him as a babyface. No one would accept him as the top dude in the company. Nobody wanted anything to do with this motherfucker. Absolutely nothing. And then what happens? He goes away to deal with COVID because he didn't want to get sick because of his leukemia. He didn't want his family to get sick, which I suppose is a perfectly valid excuse. But he goes away for a while. He comes back, and let's see, at the time it was, I believe, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, and Braun Strowman, I think, who were feuding over the Universal title. So much has happened in the WWE since the last time I've done like a real rant. So many things have changed, and yet so many things have stayed the same. Because the company still sucks, the creative direction is still garbage, they still can't write storylines to save their lives, and a lot of the people on the roster are just fucking lame, one-dimensional, nobody kind of people. And they've fired people, and they've brought some new people up from NXT who have amounted to nothing but a pile of shit. It's really just lame how the WWE is still just as bad as it was when I stopped watching full-time, or not even full-time, but when I was doing my rants every week. Although, one of the problems that made me quit watching in the first place has been solved, even if possibly temporarily, and that is one of the stories to come out recently is that apparently Stephanie McMahon has left the company. Either that or supposedly she's just going on vacation or some kind of leave of absence or whatever the hell it is, but she's gone. She's not there for the time being, and hopefully it fucking stays that way, 'cause she was one of the biggest pieces of dead fucking weight. And she was supposed to be head of the creative department. She sucks ass at writing storylines and doing anything creative. She sucked. The bitch is a businesswoman. That's what she went to college for. And she knows nothing about being creative. Writing storylines, booking feuds and rivalries. She knows nothing. And she's only gotten as far as she has in the company because she's Vince's daughter. Triple H also took a leave of absence from the company for a while, and that was probably just before they decided to strangle what little life was left in NXT, their developmental brand, and they changed NXT into this new form which they call NXT 2.0. I have not been playing this game, so my old universe mode is still very outdated. I still have everything as it was. The rosters are still set the way they were. The old NXT logo, not that it matters. And of course, this is 2K19. This is the old version of the game. I never played 2K20 because everybody said that it was a dumpster fire. And 2K22, while it seems to be much improved over 2K20, I don't know if it's anywhere near as good as 2K19 was, especially considering the fact that apparently they left out the ability to create your own custom entrances for your created superstars, and as well as even doing custom versions of the real superstars. So, and while yes, it is pointless even including that feature because when you stream the game online, you can't include the in-game music because you'll get copyright struck. It's still nice to be able to have a custom entrance with custom lights and camera angles and different movements. Like, basically, when you're creating your entrance, you basically just copy the entrance of a real superstar. And like, probably the only thing you can change is your music, your entrance video, your Titantron video, the little banner videos, and all those little things. You can't change the camera angles, you can't add custom pyro or smoke or different lighting. There's nothing. That's from what I've heard. Now, I've not played the new game, so I don't really know. But anyways, I'm getting way off topic. I was going over Monday Night Raw. So yeah, the opening segment, Miz TV, Matt Riddle, and I'm going to continue to call him Matt Riddle because retards in the WWE decided to rename him to just Riddle. Doesn't make any fucking sense. They do this to so many people, chop off their first names, and just leave it as the last name, and it sucks. It's stupid, and you need to fucking knock it off. His name's Matt Riddle. I think he had a couple of fights in the UFC. I know he's done MMA, but now he's in the WWE as a pro wrestler. He was in NXT for a while, I believe. He's another newer guy that's not been around for very long, but already Jesus, the dude has had a career full of controversies and big moments and feuds and storylines and things. Right now, he's hot off the heels of being in a tag team with Randy Orton that they called RK Bro, because Riddle's big thing is bro, bro, bro. He's the king of the bros. It's almost like a modified version of Rob Van Dam's old gimmick, where he's almost like this pot-smoking, hippie-ass dude. He stupidly doesn't wear boots, so he's walking around barefoot. The dude comes out riding a little scooter. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Anyways, so he's in a feud with Roman Reigns, and he has been for a while because I mentioned the tag team that he has with Randy Orton. Randy Orton had to go away being injured for a while, and before that, the two of them were trying to take the tag team titles. Let me back that up a bit. Orton and Riddle were the Raw Tag Team Champions. Yeah, they were the Raw Tag Team Champions. And the Usos, who happen to be Roman Reigns' cousins, they were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. And they did a stupid title unification match despite the fact that there's probably no reason to do it. But they did it anyways, and the Usos ended up winning because Roman interfered in the match. Of course, Roman and the Usos are known as the Bloodline, which I don't know if that's as good of a name as the one I would have called them. Because here's the funny thing. I don't think I have it here in this, because I think I just have the Usos as themselves. Yeah. But I was going I had them aligned with Roman because they're family. Of course they're going to be aligned. Um, I had them, or I was going to call them the Roman Empire because they already used that name in different material just regarding Roman himself. So it just made more sense to just use that. But no, they call it the Bloodline. Um, yeah, so anyways, so they're family and they're sticking together and they're helping each other out. And Roman helped the Usos win both tag team titles in the match versus RK Bro. And after that is, I think it was during that match is when Randy got hurt. So Randy had to go away injured, and now Riddle wants revenge on Roman. Oh, good. Now there's thunder and lightning outside. Like I said, folks, this could turn. The lights could go out at any minute here. Um, if they do, I'll pick back up as soon as I can. As soon as, if the power goes out, it'll be as soon as the power comes back on. And if it's the internet going out, it'll be as soon as the internet comes back. But anyways, rambling, ranting and raving like a lunatic. They're building up to this match between Riddle and Roman Reigns, which is happening this Friday on SmackDown. I think it's Friday. Doesn't matter. Whenever the next SmackDown is, that's when this match is going to happen. And so Riddle and Heyman are talking, blah, blah, blah. And Heyman is just like, yeah, I had this special stipulation cleared. What fucking idiot in management at the WWE would clear this? I don't know. Apparently it's that tool Adam Pearce, who is like the new Triple H. He doesn't know if he's a face or a heel, so he almost plays both. Um, Adam Pearce, for those who don't know, is this bald. The dude used to be a wrestler, which is hilarious. He's been made into an authority figure. He doesn't wrestle anymore. He never wrestled for the WWE, at least not on the main roster. He might have been in NXT, but he's an on-stage or on-screen character, and he plays the authority figure role. He's basically like the general manager of both Raw and SmackDown because they can't find another one for SmackDown. But anyways, apparently it was him who cleared this special stipulation that Heyman brings up, which is if Riddle cannot beat Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship, whatever the hell it's called. I should also mention that Roman unified the two main titles, the Universal Championship and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He took both of those. I don't remember who the hell he beat to get the second one. He was Universal Champion on SmackDown, the Blue Universal title, and I forget who had the World Heavyweight title on Raw. I really don't remember. Oh well. I think that happened at WrestleMania. I've been keeping up with things through different channels here on YouTube, stuff like Wrestle Talk, WrestleLamia, um, Cultaholic. I watch a bunch of those different wrestling channels, and I hear the news through them, and I also get clips from Raw and SmackDown and NXT. I'm not subscribed to their channel, but it's the official WWE channel here on YouTube. I see the actual clips from the show. The same thing also goes for AEW as well. for those who might be interested. I'll have more on AEW later, but let me get through this episode of Raw first. The special stipulation that Heyman brings up is that if Riddle cannot beat Roman Reigns for the title this Friday on SmackDown, then Riddle will never be able to challenge Roman again for the title. As long as Roman is champion, Riddle cannot get another title match. Which, I think Roman did the same thing to Drew McIntyre a while back. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Drew McIntyre used to be a big star, and now he's fallen the fuck off because they can't be consistent with their booking and keep him looking strong. No. Everybody gets sacrificed at the altar of Roman Reigns. Because despite the fact he still sucks, he still has no fucking charisma, he still sucks in the ring, and his gimmick, as I mentioned earlier, equates to nothing more than, "Notice me, senpai!" He just wants people's acknowledgement, the same acknowledgement that he didn't get when he was a babyface, and when Vince was stuffing him down everybody's throats. I don't acknowledge you, Roman. You're a shitheel. You're a piece of crap, just like John Cena was. The only difference is Vince actually decided to listen to the fans for once and turn your punk ass heel because they were booing you out of the building so goddamn bad they couldn't do anything about it. So they're like, fuck it, let's just turn him heel. And Roman himself might have been smart enough and just said, you know what, I might as well go heel because they fucking hate me. Yeah, and I still do. You suck. So the end of that segment was Heyman introducing the Usos, who came down and tried to jump Riddle, but were stopped by the Street Profits, who came out to basically save Riddle. And the only reason that happened is because one of the Street Profits had a match with one of the Usos scheduled up next on the show. So the next thing we got was the match between those two. And I think it was Montez Ford. I don't know the Street Profits. I don't give a fuck about them. They have their match. Whichever Uso it was got the win after, I guess it was Montez Ford. He went for a big old frog splash off the top rope from about 3/4 of the way across the goddamn ring. And the fact that he was actually able to jump that far was impressive, but he eats a whole lot of knees when the Uso got his knees up, and immediately covers him for the 1-2-3. Didn't hit any kind of a finisher, didn't do anything else. It was just a boring, anticlimactic, you fucked up and I pin you and 1-2-3 and the match was over. It was anticlimactic and it sucked. Shitty finish. The match, from what I remember, was okay, but I don't really give a fuck about either of these teams. I've never liked the Usos. You can go back to my old Wrestling Rant videos and hear me rip them new assholes. I've always hated them. They suck. They fucking suck. They overuse the super kick, just like a lot of other people I could fucking mention, who I probably will mention later when I get to AEW, because good lord, in AEW the super kick gets fucking overused. We'll get back to that later. After their match, I really can't remember what happened next. The order of these things happening is probably going to be all over the place because, again, I didn't write down any notes, so I don't remember what had happened. There was something between Becky Lynch and Asuka. The two of them are in a feud right now, I guess. And apparently last week on Raw, Becky got pinned by Dana Brooke, who is way below Becky on the fucking totem pole right now. And the fucked up part about it is Dana Brooke is the 24/7 champion, that stupid, worthless, lame version of the hardcore title. God, that's a whole other bag of worms. That title is so worthless. First of all, I don't know why a woman is holding a man's title. Even if it's a worthless title like the 24/7 title, I don't know why they're having women fighting for it. And it's not only been Dana Brooke. Tamina, although she's worthless, so it doesn't really matter anyways, her fighting over the damn thing. But just about all the lame-ass jabronis on the roster have been fighting over that belt. All the people who are never going to see even mid-card success for the rest of their careers, or at least not anytime soon. You have guys like R-Truth, who's always been a fucking mid-card guy. Uh, who the fuck else? Akira Tozawa, who is surprisingly still employed by the company, despite several waves of people being fired. Can't believe he still kept his job. Trying to remember who the hell all... Well, there's Akira Tozawa. Yeah, Akira Tozawa goes around dressed as a fucking ninja for some reason. I guess just because he's Asian and the WWE writers are racist as all hell. He's dressed as a ninja, aside from the mask, which he does not wear. He wears the shirt piece and the pants and the little slipper shoes that they wear. There's so many people in this game who are not in the company anymore. I'm not sure if he's actually officially in the game or if I had to download him. He's part of a tag team. I don't know. Oh yeah, Angelo Dawkins, he's one of the Street Profits. Anyways, so yeah, there was something going on between Becky Lynch and Dana Brooke. They had a match last week. Asuka came out and cost Becky the match, giving Dana the win. And Becky was pissed. And good lord, during this episode of Raw, they show Becky just standing backstage, and she's got murder in her eyes. She just wants to murder Dana Brooke. Like, seriously, that's the look on her face. She was just all scowly and just pissed, and God. Becky Lynch has really fucking fallen off too. Good lord, she sucks anymore these days. She used to be cool, and then they completely fucked her character up after she went away to give birth to her child. And now she's back, and everybody fucking hates her. Anyways, so Becky and Dana have their match. Or, it's not even a match. Basically, all it was an excuse for Becky to beat the crap out of Dana, because she's beaten the crap out of Dana, throws her out of the fucking ring, takes her over to the commentary table, and I should mention that all night on commentary, the three fucking chuckle nuts they have on commentary are just terrible. First of all, one minor improvement, Michael Cole was nowhere to be fucking found. And I can't tell you how much of a relief that was, if it wasn't for the fact that these three other chuckle nuts they have are so bad. You have Corey Graves, who is playing the heel commentator, and he's just obnoxious as all fucking hell, annoying, and won't shut the fuck up. You had some new guy, Some bald-headed loser. I can't even remember his name. And then the other guy was who the fuck? David Otunga? Was it David Otunga? I can't remember. Either way, they all sucked. They sucked. Shitty fucking commentators. And that's another problem that AEW shares. Um, Not all of their commentators are terrible, but they have terrible guest commentators way too fucking often who need to shut the hell up and go away. I'll get to that shit later as well. Because I got a lot to say about AEW. I've been keeping up with their stuff as well. Because I'm hoping in vain that some company will just not suck. The WWE sucks and has sucked for a long time. AEW came around about 3 years ago, and they had some good bits for a while, and then shit went sour for a while, and they've got a bunch of ex-WWE guys who are basically the only real stars that they have, because the rest of their roster are a bunch of nobodies. So it's really fucking pathetic how bad it is in AEW right now. Um, yeah, so anyways, Becky is beating down Dana Brooke. Throws her out of the ring, takes her over to the commentary table, puts her arm and head on the table underneath the little cover piece that they put on top of the thing, and then like stomps down on it and like I guess is supposed to like sandwich her arm and head or something in it. And after this, Dana's just out. And Becky's like, give me a fucking mic. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking for? We got a match going on here, sweetheart. She starts talking like, I don't even give a fuck about Dana. You can keep your stupid 24/7 title. I don't want it. I just wanted to beat your ass. And then she started talking about Asuka, blah, blah, blah. Cue Asuka to come down. She comes down. Her and Becky start wailing on each other. And I think Asuka runs Becky off. And that's basically the end of that segment. Um, what else happened? There were a couple of qualifying matches for the men's and women's Money in the Bank matches. One of which, okay, here's a retarded fucking thing. Qualifying matches for the Money in the Bank match should only ever be solo efforts. They had a tag team match for the women. Alexa Bliss teaming with Liv Morgan, which is something that's been rumored for a while, is the two of them forming a new team. And they went against Doudrop and Nikki ASH, which there's another couple of long explanations that I have to go through. Nikki ASH stands for Almost Superhero. That's Nikki Cross. Where the fuck is she in here? Yeah, that's Nikki Cross. She wears a stupid mask and a frickin' onesie leotard superhero looking getup. And now that she's a heel, her outfit is all black with like gold trim or something like that. Her outfit used to be blue with gold trim, but now it's black because she's a heel. She used to be in a team with Alexa Bliss, and Alexa Bliss went away with Alexa Bliss went away with the Fiend Bray Wyatt, and she became the Fiend for a while, and that's why Bray Wyatt ended up leaving the fucking company. Yeah, he's out of the company. I couldn't give a shit less because, once again, my hatred of Bray Wyatt has always been well documented. I don't give a fuck about him or the stupid Fiend character. It was trash from the beginning, although they made it even worse with Alexa Bliss, so... Alexa went away for a while, and then she comes back and she's in therapy over all of this bullshit, and they showed that for a couple of weeks. And now she's just back wrestling, and apparently she's a babyface. Which doesn't make a lick of goddamn sense, but okay, fine. So Alexa and Liv team up to go, okay, I explained Nikki ASH. Dewdrop. Who the fuck is Dewdrop? I don't fucking know. She's kind of a fat, ugly cunt. Not so much ugly, mostly just fat. But she's... The only thing I remember about her is she was brought up from NXT, where I believe she went by a different name, because this whole Dewdrop thing is stupid as hell. It's a stupid gimmick. She was brought up from NXT by that talentless, fucking lame bitch Eva Marie, who for some reason came back after being out of the company for some time. She was a talentless piece of shit. She should have never came back, but she comes back and she brings Dewdrop up from NXT to be basically her bodyguard. That whole gimmick sucked a cock. Dewdrop is also a heel for some reason, despite the fact she was a babyface when she was with Eva Marie, because that was the stupid gimmick they did with the two of them. Eva was a heel, and Dewdrop was a face, because Dewdrop didn't really want to be doing the shit that she was doing for Eva Marie. Okay, so we've explained that shit. The match goes on. It was full of blown spots and sloppy, crappy wrestling, mainly from Alexa and Nikki, sadly, because I thought Nikki actually used to be a decent wrestler. I've never given a fuck about Alexa Bliss either. A lot of people in the internet wrestling community, the IWC, a lot of people really fucking overrate Alexa Bliss. I think she's the most talentless piece of shit in the female division. She really is. She's pretty, and that's the only reason you fucking idiots like her. Her finishing move is a fucking snapping DDT, which looks weak as fuck. She's a tiny, frail little woman. She's not imposing. She's not intimidating. And I can say the same thing about another little bitch that I'm going to have to talk about later, but we'll get back to that one. That's one of the biggest problem with the women's division, is all these girls are scrawny, short little bitches who are not intimidating. They're not physically imposing. They're not scary. They're not frightening. They don't look like a threat at all. They look like the kind of thing that you could snap in half like a twig over your knee, or they'd break in half at the slightest breeze. So I don't know how the WWE is trying to push these bitches as being threats to anything. Dewdrop looks like a fucking imposing threat because she's so fat. And she's not even that fat. She's probably, what, like 280 pounds, maybe? I'm probably overestimating that. But she's probably not all that tall either. So, I don't know. Alexa ends up getting the win for her team with her snapping DDT. I don't remember who she hit it on. Probably Nikki. Excuse me. The only one who I didn't really have any complaints about in the match was Liv, and I actually like Liv. She probably needs some work on some things, because one thing I've been noticing about her, I like her gimmick, her personality, You know, she actually has a little bit of a personality, which is something you really can't say about hardly anybody on the roster, but let alone the women. Um, she has this kind of cute, sweet, like kind of girl next door kind of vibe. Um, they were doing a storyline with her that seems to have just been completely swept under the rug and forgotten now. Whew, here's another fucking explanation that's going to take a while. Um, Edge. Wrestling fans know who Edge is. Um, he came back out of retirement a couple of years ago after being in retirement for something like 9 years after he fucked up his neck. And he was basically the first one that they kind of forced into retirement because it's like, you're too hurt. We can't risk you getting hurt again and dying in the ring or something like that, so we have to have you retire. And again, that was something like probably 12 years ago at this point. He went away for a while, and I couldn't have cared less because I never liked Edge. Fucking hated him. Whiny little bitch when he was his last few years of his run in the company before. Whiny little bitch, the character anyways. Hated it. Like, here's my philosophy when it comes to wrestling. Wrestling is supposed to be about manly, masculine characters. Not whiny little bitch crybabies who whine and cry whenever somebody beats them for the title. And that's basically all Edge ever fucking did. He would whine and cry like a little bitch. And that was his character. That was all of his character. He was a bitch. A whiny little fucking crybaby. I was glad when he was gone. Now don't get me wrong, I didn't like the fact that he got hurt, but I was glad that I didn't have to watch his ass on my TV screen anymore. So, anyways. And you can bitch at me all you want for saying that. I really just don't care. And again, like I said, I didn't really like the fact that he had to get hurt to go away. I just wanted him to go away. Because I didn't want to fucking see the guy anymore. Whiny little crybaby who can't... He never should have been world champion, in my opinion. Never. He got so many titles and accolades when he was his original run in the company. He didn't deserve half of them. Because he was world champion several times. WWE champion, fucking Intercontinental champion. Intercontinental was probably about as far as his punk ass should have went. And he was also started off in the tag division, Edge and Christian, the Brood. Which, speaking of the Brood, he brought back that little shit for a while. Anyways, so he comes back a couple of years ago, coming back out of retirement. My neck's okay now, I can compete again. He's got gray in his fucking beard. Gray in his fucking hair. It's like, old man, you might want to sit your ass down and just stay retired. Because guess what? Within a couple of months of him coming back, he's already injured again. So he has to come back again. And then I think he got injured again. Like, it's been nothing but failure after failure for him since he came back. And I'm laughing my ass off at it because he should have stayed fucking retired. This whole time he's a face, I think. Because, of course, this guy's been gone for so long and it's such a triumphant hero story. Oh, I fought back from this career-ending neck injury. I fought back and now I'm a babyface. Even though he was a complete heel asshole when he left. Or at least I think he was. It doesn't matter. He was a heel for most of his old run, so it doesn't matter. Um, he turns heel, complete with new entrance music. His old entrance music was a song by Alter Bridge, which is a real band if you want to look them up. Again, people in the wrestling community you already know. The song is called Metal Ingus. That was his theme song for the longest time. And then it gets changed to a new song by Alter Bridge. Um, Alter Bridge, if you don't know anything about them, they're a band. It's basically the band from Creed without the singer, and they got a different singer because I think the singer from Creed was a guy named Scott Sapp, or Scott Stapp, I don't know, who apparently he's a pain in the ass to deal with because he gets drunk way too much. And so the band was like, alright, fuck you, we need a new singer. They find a new singer, and they're like, okay, well, we're not Creed anymore. We're going to call ourselves Alter Bridge. And that's probably not even it, because I think they actually reformed with Scott Stapp, and they continued on as Creed. It's like an off and on thing. Sometimes they're Alter Bridge, and sometimes they're Creed, and weird shit. But anyways, they released a new album, Alter Bridge, and it had this new song. I forget the name of the song. Doesn't matter. Um, but Edge starts using it as his theme song. He's a heel now, and he dresses in nice suits, and he comes down from this pedestal on the stage. He rises up out of this pedestal. It's almost like the Brood entrance, which he used once or twice against Seth Rollins because he had a feud with Seth Rollins as a face. Rollins has been a heel the whole time. And I think maybe some part of Rollins rubbed off on Edge because Edge goes heel and starts acting like this fucking douchebag, calling himself a wrestling god, acting like he's better than everyone, and shitting all over the crowd. You people aren't good enough. Blah, 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 blah. All this crappy generic heel heat garbage that's really just annoying to me. That heels can't get a better shtick. Which is another thing that I'm going to have to come back to, because there's another piece of shit that I have to talk to who does the same stuff. We'll get back to that. Edge is having a feud with AJ Styles, which culminated at WrestleMania this year. Edge has been by himself this whole time. And I don't know why he was going after AJ Styles. I guess maybe because AJ was the only one who had the balls to be like, fuck you, Edge, you're not as good as you think you are. You need to stop knocking the fans and everything, whatever the fuck, because AJ's a good dude, whatever. They go to WrestleMania, and they have their match. And the finish of the match is Edge ends up winning after the interference of Damian Priest, who's another guy who's going to require a fucking explanation. Damian Priest used to wrestle on the independent scene as Punishment Martinez. And then he came to NXT, and they changed his name to Damian Priest. And he's always kind of had this kind of dark, almost gothic kind of gimmick. I think in NXT they referred to him as Hell's Archer. Something like that. Because he used to do this thing where he would do this bow and arrow archery pose, and he would aim it up and just let it go, and that would spell out his name on the Titantron or whatever the fuck. It was weird. He's not a bad wrestler. He's got a cool voice. He's got this really deep, kind of gravelly voice. He makes for a perfect heel. He'd been on the main roster in the WWE for a while. I think he was already United States champion. He was a face for a while, but he's just a natural heel, especially with that dark, deep voice and everything. In fact, I think I actually have. Yeah, Damian Priest. It's not the best CAW of him, and this is his old attire from when he was in NXT. That's not even all that great. But, yeah. He could have gone places in the WWE, but then they decided to fucking stick him with Edge. So like I said, Priest interferes in the match, gives Edge the win, and Edge is like, yeah, this is my new member of this group that I want to form. Or they didn't even really say that. It was just Edge was there and he had Priest with him for a couple of weeks. And he's still fighting with AJ because of course AJ's going to keep fighting because he's like, you cheated to win that match, interference, and I still want to beat you. But AJ's outnumbered here now that it's him against Edge and Priest. And so Finn Balor ends up coming in to save AJ since Finn and AJ have history. And they even do the little too sweet with the Bullet Club and everything. Which is a gimmick that just needs to fucking die. And I'm not only talking about here in the States, I mean in Japan too. The Bullet Club needs to die. It's not cool anymore. And the Bullet Club that's in Japan is full of nothing but fucking jabronis. They're fucking nobodies. And there hasn't been anybody worthwhile in the club since Omega and Cody Rhodes. And I'll have to get back to the two of them in a while as well. Cody Rhodes came back to the WWE, believe it or not. I didn't think he ever would after the embarrassment that was Stardust. And after helping to form AEW, having that one pay-per-view entrance where he smashed this throne with an iron cross on it, which was supposed to symbolize Triple H, and he smashes the thing with a sledgehammer. Didn't think Cody was ever going to come back to the WWE, but he did. So yeah, AJ and Finn Balor now are fighting off Edge and Damian Priest. And then, while this was going on, Liv Morgan is in a tag team with Rhea Ripley. And there's another thing that needs explanation. Who the hell is Rhea Ripley? She's an Aussie chick who was in NXT for a while. She came up to the main roster. She's already been Raw Women's Champion once. And then lost it to somebody who the hell knows or cares. And she decides she wants to be in a tag team with Liv Morgan because they were friends for a while. Whatever the fuck, who cares? They were trying to win the women's tag team titles, I think. And that's also something that I have to bring up because that's another one of the recent news stories. I think the women's tag belts are about to go bye-bye. The women's tag team titles were being held by Sasha Banks and Naomi. Sasha Banks. Oh hey. I don't know if it's him or if it's the other fucker, but yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that one as well. Samoa Joe's out of the company. God. There is so much shit that has changed. He's out of the company. Rollins has completely new gimmick. Or not gimmick, but just really bad character. I don't know what the hell's been going on with Shayna Baszler. Doesn't matter. Right. So Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley were in a team, and they were trying to get the women's tag team titles off of Sasha Banks and Naomi, and they just could not do it. Rhea Ripley, like I said, she's an Aussie chick, but she's also very goth. She's like punk rock and goth. She dresses in like all black, fishnets, and really terrible gauged ears that look stupid as fuck. She's got a bunch of nose piercings, and she had a promo here tonight on Raw, and it looks like she's got metal shit in her teeth. Like, I didn't know it was possible to do piercings in your teeth. And I'm not just talking, she also has one that's in her upper lip on the inside that comes down on the inside. But there's also like little metal bars going in between her teeth. And I'm like, do you wear braces or something? Or what the fuck is all that metal shit in your mouth? It's like punk mixed with goth and emo. And she used to have blonde, like bleached blonde hair. And then after some shit happened, she decided to dye it black. And I'll get to that in a moment, because what ended up happening was, after her and Liv Morgan could not win the damn tag titles from scrawny little bitches Sasha and Naomi, Rhea turns on Liv, beats the crap out of her, and is just like, we're done, the tag team's done, our friendship is done, I'm moving on. So she turns heel. And then she ends up joining up with Damian Priest and Edge. And it's about at this point where Edge is like, this new group here that you see before you, we're going to call it the Judgment Day. And so we have this new heel faction, which just kind of sucks because it's Edge. And oh yes, that was part of the interesting storyline that was going on with Liv Morgan. I had mentioned how I actually like her and I think she's got potential. And this storyline that was going on. So AJ Styles and Finn Balor are fighting off Edge and Damian Priest, but now Edge and Damian Priest have Rhea Ripley as backup. And AJ and Finn are like, well, Rhea's a girl and we can't really beat her up because the networks and, so like we need a girl to fight Rhea. And they're like, well, Rhea just stabbed Liv Morgan in the back, so how about we ask her? And so they do. There was a backstage segment, and it was posted on WWE's YouTube channel, where they go up to Liv and they're like, hey, you're probably chomping at the bit to get some payback on Rhea Ripley, so how about you join up with us to fight this Judgment Day? And Liv, she actually seems to be a decent actress. You can see it written on her face. She's very hesitant about this. And the reason for that, I have to go back into her history a bit to explain this. She started in NXT, and then she gets called up to the main roster. She was a part of a group that was known as the Riot Squad. named after the lead member of the group, who was Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott. Right. I have them as a group here in the fucking in the yeah. I have them as a group here. Liv and Ruby, and the other girl is Sarah Logan. Well, several months ago, both Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan get fired from the company. And so the Riott squad is just gone. And Liv is all by herself now. And a couple of months after that came the Royal Rumble. And to fill spot in the Women's Royal Rumble, they bring Sarah Logan back for one night only. And there was a backstage segment that happened after that match where Liv and Sarah Logan are all like, I think Sarah was being interviewed by a backstage interviewer, and she's like, yeah, I lost, blah, 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 blah. And then Liv comes up, she's like, oh my god, I'm so happy to see you and everything. And so Liv was apparently very broken up over the firing of her two friends in the Riott Squad. And then after that was her tag team with Rhea Ripley, which also ended in disaster when Rhea turned on her. And so Liv seems to be learning that you really can't trust people, or she's just better off on her own, or something like that. So when AJ and Finn approach her to join up with them to take on the Judgment Day, she's just like, you know what? I'll think about it. But it wasn't like it really added much drama, because the next time shit went down between AJ and Finn versus the Judgment Day, here comes Liv running down to take on Rhea and take her out of the equation, so AJ and Finn can just deal with Edge and Damian Priest. So now we have this 3-on-3 mixed tag team group war going on. And that ends up going to a... What was the last pay-per-view? I don't remember. Whatever the last pay-per-view was, they had a match, 3-on-3, AJ and Finn and Liv versus the Judgment Day, Edge, Priest, and Rhea Ripley. And the Judgment Day gets the win after... Edge was able to avoid the coup de grace, the big double foot stomp from Finn. I think maybe Priest pulled Edge out of the way or something. But Finn misses the coup de grace. Edge gets up and spears the crap out of him and gets the 1-2-3. And what I heard, or what I had heard, was that AJ Styles was injured in the match, although that seems to have been bullshit because he had a match here tonight on Raw. Yeah, so that was the last pay-per-view. Last week on Raw, which was after that pay-per-view, the Judgment Day come out, and they're all like, yeah, we really showed them and everything, and but we have a new member to the Judgment Day. And out comes Finn Balor, which this is another thing that had been rumored. They didn't do a very good job of keeping this as a secret, is that Finn was supposed to be joining the Judgment Day. So Finn comes out and he joins up with them, and they're talking, and Priest starts talking, and he's like, yeah, well, this is all great and all, but we really need to shed the last piece of anything that's holding us back, which is you, Edge. And they all beat the fuck out of Edge. And I'm laughing my ass off because I'm like, yeah, fuck that asshole. So they beat Edge down, and now we have the new version of the Judgment Day. No Edge, but it's Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. And apparently the feud with AJ Styles and Liv Morgan is just completely swept under the rug because it's done. AJ's moving on, and apparently so is Liv Morgan. Apparently she's going to team with Alexa Bliss after they do all this business with the Money in the Bank match. Speaking of AJ Styles, he had a match against Seth Rollins, and that was a qualifying match for Money in the Bank, I believe, which Rollins ends up winning after another very anticlimactic finish. I think AJ was going for the Styles Clash, and Rollins countered it into basically like a, I don't know how you would call that, the kind of pinning predicament, but it was whatever. You know, Rollins was bent over, and AJ was going to lift him for the Clash, but Rollins backdrops him. AJ lands on the ground and is trying to do like the sunset flip, but Rollins just drops down to his knees and hooks a leg, and he gets the leverage 1, 2, 3, and the match is over. Really anticlimactic, shitty finish to what was actually a pretty good match. But the two of them are actually pretty decent wrestlers, especially AJ, who's one of the frickin' best. So Rollins, I guess, is moving on to win, or not win, but winning, going on to be in the Money in the Bank match. Rollins has his own little story. Ever since WrestleMania, he's been feuding with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes returned to the WWE at WrestleMania, and his first match at WrestleMania was against Rollins. And up until then, Rollins was pissing and moaning and complaining that he didn't have a match at WrestleMania. I want my WrestleMania moment, blah, blah, blah. Rollins' character has been such garbage for so long. He's the visionary, and he has this shitty version of his theme music which sounds like absolute ass. And he wears these really fucking ugly suits, and he refers to it as the drip, because that's what the kids say these days. I've got my drip, and I'm looking real good and fresh and everything. And these suits are so god-awful ugly, I wouldn't wipe my ass with these suits. They're that fucking ugly. Although wiping my ass with them might actually make the things look better, because these things are so fucking ugly. And he has this thing where he laughs like a jackass after almost every sentence. And it's so obnoxious. I am convinced that Seth Rollins just does not know how to play a fucking heel. He's a natural babyface, and yet they force him to be a heel because he just has this unlikability to him that's, I don't know, but you just want to punch the guy in the fucking face. He has this snobbish attitude. He had a fucking tweet on Twitter. I don't remember how long ago it was, but he started knocking like the bingo halls and the independent scene, which is the fucking place that he came from, because Rollins, before he was in the WWE, he was Ring of Honor world champion. and he was in Ring of Honor for several years. He was all over the indies for a while. Like, he has completely forgotten where the fuck he came from and who the fuck he used to be. He is a complete sellout piece of shit, and I don't fucking like him either. He also doesn't really have any charisma, so everything he says just comes off as flat as hell. But anyways, so Rollins was feuding with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes was brought in as the mystery opponent for Rollins at WrestleMania, and Cody beats him. And Rollins fires back by saying, you know what, I wasn't ready for you, you were a mystery opponent, I had no idea you were coming, blah blah blah, I want a rematch. So with the next pay-per-view, they get a rematch, and Cody wins again. And Rollins he still keep coming up with more excuses, I want another rematch. Hell in a Cell, that was the last pay-per-view. So, Hell in a Cell was the last pay-per-view, and it comes up to there. And they do a Hell in a Cell match. And despite the fact that it wasn't really enough of a heated blood feud for it to really warrant being a Hell in a Cell match, they actually had one hell of a Hell in a Cell match, despite the fact that before the match, in training, Cody actually tore his pectoral muscle clean off the fucking bone and had this humongous bruise all over his chest and down his one arm. The dude wrestled a Hell in a Cell match with a completely torn pectoral muscle and this huge bruise all over him. And he wrestles the match, and he still fucking wins. He beats Seth Rollins' punk ass with no right arm, basically. Completely making Rollins look like the biggest bitch. Like, I don't know how the hell you come back from that. That should be a career ender right there. You could not beat a one-armed man in a Hell in a Cell match. It was fucking hilarious to me. So the next night on Raw, which I think was last week, Cody comes out, arm all fucking clenched up to his side because he's still got a torn pec. And he's like, I'm officially done with Seth Rollins. But as you can see, I'm hurt, so I have to go away and rehab for a while. He has to have surgery to have his pectoral muscle reattached to the bone where it's supposed to be attached, so he can start healing up. But he's cutting this promo. He's like, I'm done with Seth Rollins. I beat the guy 3 damn times in a row, one of which being a Hell in a Cell match with a torn pectoral muscle. I don't know how... Rollins is dead. He's dead after that. He's a nobody now. You couldn't beat a one-armed guy with no pectoral muscle in a Hell in a Cell match. They're still trying to push this piece of shit. Anyways, Rollins comes out during the promo and he's like, you know what? Because of what you done, beat me with torn pectoral and a Hell in a Cell and everything, and you still beat me, you've earned my respect. And he shakes Cody's hand, and Rollins leaves. And then Cody's like, okay, fine, I'm leaving now. I gotta go get surgery. Bye. He's going up the ramp. He gets to the top of the ramp. Not even the ramp. They don't even have a ramp anymore. It's just a walkway that leads up to a flat stage that's not even lifted up off the ground. And this big goddamn video screen. Because they can't come up with like an actual stage anymore. And they don't want to have it lifted up off the ground and have a ramp to come down. For whatever reason, they just don't do that anymore. I guess it's budget reasons. They like saving money. sacrificing the look of their show. So Cody's going up the walkway, and he gets to the stage area, and he's waving to the crowd with his good arm. And Rollins comes from behind him with a sledgehammer and cracks him in the back of the neck, beats the crap out of him, pulls his bad arm outstretched, and then stomps on it. So he's getting his heat back, which still doesn't mean dick. You couldn't beat the guy with one arm in a Hell in a Cell match. You're fucked. So you can do whatever the hell you want, Rollins. You're fucked. Your career's done after that. Unless Cody goes away, rehabs, gets his surgery, rehabs his arm, comes back, and you can actually beat him, you're done. He beat you 3 straight, and one of which with no arm. You're done. So yeah, Rollins was mentioning how Cody wanted to be in the Money in the Bank, because Cody wanted to get the Money in the Bank so he could get a shot at the big title. Because that's what Cody's been talking about since he came back to the WWE. I want to win the big one. I never won the big one in my previous run in the company, and even my late father, Dusty Rhodes, couldn't win the big one in the WWE. So I want to win that title. And he wanted to win the Money in the Bank, but since his arm got hurt, or his pec got torn, he's out for a while, so he's going to miss the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, as well as probably another 6 pay-per-views, because he's probably going to be out for a good 6 months at least. What else was going on? Trying to remember what else happened. It was a whole lot of nothing. There was a throwaway match between MVP, who's actually come back. He was gone from the company for several years. MVP was the manager for Bobby Lashley for a while. And they had the Hurt Business group. Yeah, Lashley and MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. The Hurt Business broke up after Lashley was the World Heavyweight Champion. He kicked Benjamin and Cedric Alexander to the fucking curb. And for some reason, the two of them kept trying to join back up with them. It's like, no, it's not going to happen. MVP, in a frightening act of just absolute fucking stupidity, ditches Bobby Lashley in favor of this complete jabroni nobody who's never going to be a big star in the WWE. There's this big, tall motherfucker named Omos. Shit for promos, shit in the ring. The guy's flat out garbage as far as being a wrestler is concerned. He sucks. I think he was brought in, supposedly, probably brought up from NXT by AJ Styles. AJ Styles was using him as his heavy, and then they split up and had a feud. But this Omos guy is just crap. And now he's got MVP as his manager because MVP made the brain-dead decision of trading down from Bobby Lashley, who actually might be a big star. So MVP, accompanied by Omos, has a match against Cedric Alexander, who's trying to get back with MVP for some reason. Why the fuck you would want to, I don't know. MVP ain't worth shit anyways. But the two of them have a match. MVP won with the fucking Playmaker. And for those who don't know, the Playmaker is one of the worst wrestling moves of all time. It's like has no impact. It's awkward as hell to pull the fucking move off, and it's basically given to people either as a punishment or as a fucking joke to make you look bad. Randy Orton used to use the Playmaker when he was a young fucking WWE guy. And he ditched it quickly because he was like, yeah, this move sucks, and that's when he came up with the RKO. But the Playmaker is a move where you get your opponent bent down, you put your fucking leg over the back of their head, you grab their one arm, and then you flip them the other way. It's like a weird, retarded-ass neck breaker kind of move. It looks like shit. It hits with like hardly any impact. It's awkward as hell to try and pull the move off. And it's just a lousy fucking move. And that was MVP's move when he first started in the WWE. But he ended up ditching it, I think, sometime after that. And fucking, he uses it on Cedric Alexander and he wins with it. God. If Cedric Alexander is not buried after that, I don't know what else they have to do to the guy other than just shooting him dead in the chest with a shotgun. Like, fuck. So that was a completely throwaway match that sucked. Trying to remember what else happened. Matt Riddle ended up having a match with Tommaso Ciampa, who for some idiotic reason got called up from NXT. Not sure if I have a creation of Ciampa. I do. Fucking ugly, bald-headed, scruffy beard. He's also already in his fucking 40s, so he's nowhere near his prime. He's way past his fucking prime, and I don't think he's that good anyways. He's not going to be a big star, so I don't know why in the fuck they brought him up to the main roster. He was a big deal in NXT. He used to be in Ring of Honor, but he was a big deal in NXT. He was NXT champion a couple times, and he's supposed to be Billy Badass, who's a really tough guy. And then I think he ended up getting his shit pushed in by Karrion Kross, who's also no longer with the company. And just going through this whole roster, there's so many people who aren't with the company anymore. Tony Nese is in AEW. Tucker Knight's gone. Ty Dillinger is also in AEW. Don't know about him. Pretty sure he's been fired. Undertaker is now retired, thankfully. Jesus Christ. He needed to retire a long time ago, and I've said this before. I was worried about this motherfucker because he'd been going for so long and he'd had so many injuries piled up. Like, I was afraid he was going to end up in a wheelchair for the rest of his life if he didn't stop. And I didn't want that to happen, so I'm glad that he retired when he did. I don't think she's with the company anymore. She was in NXT for a while. He got fired, thankfully, because he sucked a cock. The fucking Ascension dudes have been gone from the WWE for a long time. Walter. His jabroni ass. This is a funny one. Walter was a big deal on the indies. This big, huge, fucking brick shit house of a guy who mainly wrestles against jobbers, even on the indies. He wrestled so many scrawny little pipsqueaks who, of course, had no fucking chance in hell at beating this guy. It was hilarious to think that you could get this motherfucker over by having him wrestle these little pipsqueaks. And it was pathetic. And they continued doing it even into the WWE, where he was in the NXT. He was actually in the UK version of NXT. NXT UK. He was NXT UK champion, and he had this faction built around him. What the fuck were they called? Bunch of fucking jabronis. You had Alexander Wolf, Marcel Barthel, and Fabian Eichner. All a bunch of fucking jabronis. And now, this goof has been brought up to the main roster, and they changed his fucking name from Walter to fucking Gunther, which is one of the dumbest goddamn names you could give a person. He's been gone from the WWE for a while. He's actually a part of the Control Your Narrative thing with EC3. And that's a whole big thing. That's actually one of the most interesting things going in American pro wrestling right now, is this whole Control Your Narrative thing. If you've not heard of it, look it up. Control Your Narrative. They have their own YouTube channel. EC3 turned into a fucking beast after he got fired from the WWE a few years ago. The New Day have been going through some shit. She might still be in NXT. He might still be in NXT. I'm not sure. Ryder got fired a long time ago. I don't know if she's still with the WWE or not. She got fired for a minute because she spoke out about the whole union topic, and then they hired her back. He got fired, or he let his contract run out, whatever. He's in AEW now. He fucking sucks. I fucking hate you, Adam Cole. You are one of the most loathsome pieces of shit in the wrestling business. You're annoying, you're not very talented, you're not very fucking charismatic, and you're a J-Brone. Get the fuck out of here. He's been out of the WWE for a while. He's got a YouTube channel now. AJ's still in the company. Akam and Razor, or whatever the fuck their names were, the authors of Pain, they got fired. They weren't that good anyways, so who cares? I already mentioned him earlier. He's still in the WWE with the fucking 24/7 shit. Aleister Black. Now there was a fucking story. His last few months in the WWE were just a shit show. And then he gets released and he goes to AEW, where he's just this humongous edgelord douche nozzle. And he has this stupid faction around him, the House of Black. He now goes by not Aleister Black, but Malachi Black. Stupid fucking name. But he's been a heel ever since he debuted. He's got two other little... Oh yeah, he got Buddy Murphy with him, who also used to be in the WWE, although I thought he was going to end up in EC3's thing, but apparently not. He ends up with Black in AEW, and they have this other little... Not little, but this big motherfucker who's basically just a brick shithouse. Brody something or other. I don't know. But they suck. Doesn't matter. I fucking hate Alexa. He's part of that stupid faction with Gunther. Alicia Fox got fired a long time ago, thankfully. Don't know what the hell ever happened to her. Andrade's punk ass wound up in AEW as well. He sucks. He's part of a tag team with somebody else. I don't remember. Something like the Heartthrobs or some kind of crap. They're supposed to be these like ladies' men kind of gimmick where they hit on chicks. They're basically just douchey fuckers who don't take a hint because the ladies always reject them. It's pretty fucking cringe. He's part of the Street Profits. Apollo Crews went heel for a while. He had some big shithouse dude with him. General Aziz or some crap. Some fucking retard looking dude. And he was a heel. And now he's back in NXT as a babyface. trying to go after the NXT title or some crap. Don't know what the fuck happened to him. He might still be in WWE, NXT or something. Don't know what happened to him either. Asuka's still around, of course, because she's too fucking talented for them to let go of. She'd either go to AEW and absolutely curb stomp everybody in AEW's women's division, because pretty much the women's division in AEW is crap. Or she'd go back to Japan, where she'd probably be used properly. Oh boy, now there's a fuckstick that I have to talk about, because he was actually on the show tonight. This jabroni motherfucker, he's scrawny, he's not very muscly, he's not very tall, he's a punk bitch, and his gimmick is he goes around taking selfies of himself with his fucking phone. He beats somebody down, and then he like poses over him with the phone and takes selfies. It's almost the Tyler Breeze gimmick, where he's always got his fucking phone with him and he thinks he's all that, and he's, I'm so pretty. It's almost the Tyler Breeze gimmick, but it's like douchier and way less entertaining. And he was also basically handpicked by Vince McMahon as like the next big thing, which basically curses you, because being Vince McMahon's next big thing, picked out and everything, fucks your career over every single time when it's like officially announced anyways. He had a no, he didn't have a match, because the fucker, I don't think he can wrestle all that well. He has a fucking bodybuilding style like pose down against Bobby Lashley, because Bobby Lashley, for some idiotic reason, despite the fact he was already WWE World Heavyweight Champion since coming back to the WWE, he might have been Universal Champion, I can't remember, but despite the fact he's already held the two main titles, he wants to downgrade to the United States Championship, which Austin Theory now holds. Austin Theory challenges Bobby Lashley to a bodybuilding style pose down. And the shit goes down. It was actually the main event spot on Raw. It was the last thing that they did on Raw. And it sucked a cock. This bit, go back 30, 35 years in WWE history to the late 80s. There was a feud between the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude, Ravishing Rick Rude, where they did the exact same bit, basically. Here's the fuck. They ripped themselves off. They ripped off their own shit. In the WWE, that is. So the Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude are having this feud. Rick Rude at the time was managed by Bobby Heenan. And so they're doing this pose down at one of the pay-per-views. It might have been the Royal Rumble, or maybe it was SummerSlam. I don't remember. But they're doing this pose down. And the way a pose down works in the WWE is the guys do their poses, and the fans get to pick who the winner is. They cheer who they like the most. It's a popularity contest. And since the babyface is always going to get the most cheers, they're always going to win the thing. So the heel doesn't like that, because even if he's got the better, more knowledge of posing, you know, doing the bodybuilding thing or whatever, maybe he looks better or whatever, he gets pissed off that the fans are, of course, going to vote for the babyface. So the heel has a fucking bottle of, like, baby oil and just sprays it all over the other dude, gets it in his face, in his eyes, and that's exactly what Austin Theory does. He lost the fucking pose down with Bobby Lashley, not the least of which reason being that Bobby Lashley is built like a brick shithouse. The dude is huge. He's on, like, 12 different kinds of steroids. And he's jacked as all fucking shit. So he's flexing the guns, and he's huge and everything. And I mean, there's a reason why they call Bobby Lashley the Almighty. That's his fucking nickname. Like, I think he actually used to be a bodybuilder. Before he was a pro wrestler, before he did some MMA matches, I'm pretty sure he was a bodybuilder. Or maybe he was football or something, maybe. I don't remember. He's been like an athlete his entire life. But he's jacked as all fucking hell. And of course he wins the pose down because he looks better. He's more jacked. He's got more, bigger muscles and everything. And then Theory's just like, fuck you, here's some baby oil in your face. And he gets it all in his face. And then he knocks Lashley out of the ring. And he stands up on the little podium. Excuse me, the little podium that they have where they're doing their poses on. And he gets his phone and he's, look at me, I did. Fucking ass clown. Ugh. That was your main event spot to close the show. Fucking sucked. And it was a rip-off of one of their own spots from 30 fucking years ago, which of course nobody's going to remember. Baron Corbin. Fucking Christ. They were plugging a match between him and Madcat Moss, which is going to happen on SmackDown. And it's called a Last Laugh match, which I have no idea what the fuck that is supposed to be. I don't care. Baron Corbin now goes by Happy Corbin. His head is completely bald. He dresses in, like, kind of preppy clothes. He was sad Corbin for a while because he had no money. He was broke. He was disheveled looking, shitty clothes, and always looked homeless and everything. But now he's happy because apparently he won a bunch of money or something. And this other guy, Madcat Moss, who was Riddick Moss. Where the fuck is he at? Riddick Moss. He was friends with Happy Corbin for a minute. And then Corbin didn't like him no more, so whatever the fuck. And now they're feuding against each other. Oh. Bayley. Bayley was a heel for a while. She still fucking is. I don't know how she's going to be able to turn face again. Here's the funny thing about Bayley. I think she's injured right now, or she was, but she hasn't returned yet. Her storyline of her character seems to be like a trying to figure out how to put this. What they've done with her character, she started off, a lot of people probably know, on NXT when she started off, and even when she came up to the main roster, she's this happy-go-lucky, real sweet, loves the fans, just old-fashioned baby face, likes hugging people, She was very much like a teenage, just like a young teenage girl going through high school who's just nice to everybody, and she's all sweet and everything. And then she turns heel. Her hair goes dark, and she stopped doing the stupid side ponytail that she used to do, which looked like shit anyways. She cut her hair short into like the Karen hairdo almost, which was terrible. But she dyes it dark. She starts wearing different ring gear. It's more darker. She's got like dark eyeshadow around her eyes for her makeup and everything. She turned into like an emo goth teenager, basically. The rebellious, I don't care what mom and dad say. And I think she was still doing that when she went away injured, and I don't know if she's come back yet. But her career in the WWE, the gimmicks seem to be just the life of a teenage girl going through life. Maybe at some point she'll make it to her fucking 20s, even despite the fact that the woman herself is getting close. She's at least in her 30s. She might even be getting close to 40. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do next with her, but God, it's been terrible so far. Becky Lynch. Like I said, she used to be cool. Now she fucking sucks. She's been wearing these horrible outfits lately. She's not the man anymore. She's big time Bex. Because after she went away to have her kid, and she came back, she's all Hollywood. And it's almost like the Hollywood rock gimmick, where she thinks she's better than everybody. I'm too good for you, dressing in real nice clothes. She has these really shitty outfits that are just god-awful, gaudy, ugly-looking shit, and these big, gigantic sunglasses that look retarded as all hell. Eh. Bianca Belair is the Raw Women's Champion. She sucks. I fucking hate her, and I hate her stupid fucking ponytail, because that's basically all she does. She's not a very good wrestler. She just hits people with her ponytail. And she... Who the fuck is she getting ready to feud with? She was on commentary for a match. I don't know. Oh no. She had an in-ring interview with one of the interviewers. She's apparently getting ready to have a match with Rhea Ripley. And that's when Rhea came on the Titantron and she was cutting a promo with the rest of the Judgment Day dudes. Really boring bullshit, not really all that interesting. Oh god. Feel bad for Big E. He broke his neck, or suffered some kind of neck injury, during a match. He's been out ever since, and it doesn't look like he's ever going to be able to come back. Even though things looked good for him at first, there was some setback or something, and it just doesn't look good for him anymore. So he may never be able to return. Best of luck to him, though. I really hope he comes back, because he actually was pretty talented. Big Show is in AEW. Who cares? He was washed up anyways. He's like... I don't know if he does commentary or if he's just some kind of ambassador. He doesn't really wrestle all that much. Billy Kay and the other twat from the Iconics are in TNA now, or Impact Wrestling. They sucked anyways. Who cares? Bo Dallas doesn't work for the company anymore. He got fired. I don't know about this Boa dude. Bobby Fish, the entire Undisputed Era ass clowns, except for maybe Roderick Strong, I'm not sure. But all three of the other ones, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole, they're all in AEW, and they suck. Bobby Lashley, we already covered shit with him. Bobby Roode was teaming up with Dolph Ziggler. They were known as the Dirty Dogs, and Ziggler, for some idiotic reason, went down to NXT to try and challenge for the NXT Championship. Didn't go well for him. Don't know what the hell they've been doing since. Strowman got fired from the WWE despite the fact he was one of their big stars. I don't know how the hell they let him go. He actually joined up with EC3 in the Control Your Narrative thing. Bray Wyatt, I don't give a fuck. He got fired from the WWE because apparently he was a pain in the ass to work with. No shit. Supposedly he's going to be returning to pro wrestling at some point. He's been teasing things. I don't really give a shit, because I hated the whole Fiend thing. I've always hated his character. It was lame as fuck, and I don't give a shit. Don't give a fuck about the Bellas. Brock has been in and out for a while. I don't know what the hell he's doing right now. Actually, I think that's who it was that Roman won the World Heavyweight title from at WrestleMania. And Brock's been gone ever since. Bronson Reed was in NXT. And then he got fired, and he ended up in Impact Wrestling. Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, he also got released from the WWE. He's in AEW. And he's way better off because of it, because the WWE were basically holding him back. Buddy Murphy has already said he's in AEW. Cameron Grimes, I think, is still in AEW. No, he's still in NXT. His gimmick sucks, though. Candice LeRae, I think she's either waiting on her contract with the WWE to expire so she can go to the WWE or AEW because her husband is Johnny Gargano, and I think he's going to be showing up in AEW here soon. Carmella fucking sucks. She's still in the company. She's married to Corey Graves, who's one of the god-awful commentators, and he will not stop licking her balls on commentary. It's disgusting. And she's not even that talented. Like, she's a shitty wrestler. She's scrawny. She's not imposing. She's just like all these other girls who I was talking about. Cedric Alexander, he's a fucking jabroni nobody. Again, getting beat by MVP and the fucking Playmaker. Not a very good thing. Cesaro, I think, might still be with the WWE, although I don't know how much longer that's going to be. I don't know. He hasn't done much lately, I don't think. Chad Gable, holy fuck. After... What's the dude's name? Jordan... I can't remember the dude's name, but after the Jordan dude, he suffered, again, I think a neck injury, and he had to retire. He's basically like a road agent or a producer backstage. But after that team had to be disbanded because one of the members can no longer compete, Gable's bounced around. He had a bunch of shitty gimmicks. Shorty G. Now he's part of a new team with Otis. Otis, who was formerly with Heavy Machinery, they broke up. Tucker Knight gets fired. And Otis is now a heel with Chad Gable. They are known as Alpha Academy. And they shh for some idiotic reason. Shush. God, that was... You know what? They actually had a match. Gable had a match against... Who the fuck was it? I don't remember. I think he ended up getting the win. Yeah, he got the win kind of out of nowhere. Once again, another weird anticlimactic finish. He hit the, what's it referred to as? The Chaos Theory. Rolling German suplex out of the corner. They run him into the corner, and then he rolls through. They do the backwards roll out of the corner, and then a German suplex. And he got the bridge, 1, 2, 3. Again, it kind of came out of nowhere, and the crowd didn't really react. It was really anticlimactic. I don't remember who the hell he was wrestling. There was another match on Raw that I forgot to mention. It might have actually been the same match. I don't remember, but I don't... No, it couldn't have been because he actually won his match. There's been an ongoing feud between Kevin Owens... Yeah, Kevin Owens, who's a heel now, has been for a very long time. He's been using the Stone Cold Stunner for some reason. He had a match with Stone Cold at WrestleMania, which he lost. Lose to a guy who's been retired for something like 20 years almost. So they basically bury Kevin Owens. Owens has been aligned with the Alpha Academy dudes for some reason, but Owens has been feuding against... who everyone seems to know is actually Elias. Elias went away for a while, and there were these vignettes where he was like burning all of his shit and like saying like Elias is dead and all that stuff. Might as well, because the gimmick was basically dead. He wasn't going to get over and he wasn't winning anything. So, yeah. But he had basically killed off the Elias gimmick, and this guy turns up. The beard is completely shaved off. He still has kind of longish hair. It's not as dark anymore. And he has completely different ring attire. He looks like a fucking standard, just generic CAW kind of guy, created wrestler. Little short trunks that are like this weird orangey pink color with kind of gold trim. Little wristbands, same color boots and knee pads and everything. He shows up now calling himself Ezekiel, saying that he's the younger brother of Elias. And Kevin Owens is like, bullshit, you're Elias. And that's been the whole fucking storyline. You're lying, you're Elias, tell me that you're Elias. They went to the fucking trouble of hooking Ezekiel up to this lie detector test, and Chad Gable was the guy performing the test. He's the one, he puts on his little glasses and he's doing it on the computer. Fucking stupid bullshit. God. Chad Gable is so much better than that. He's a good fucking wrestler. But he's been put with so many shitty gimmicks. Keep moving, though. Charlotte sucks. She always has. She's fucking overrated as all hell. And she's been a giant, obnoxious bitch backstage lately. Like, nobody wants to work with her because she's such a cunt. And I could not give a shit less about her. I hope they fire her ass one of these days. She got fired, I'm pretty sure. Don't know. Jericho's in AEW, has been for a while. So is Christian. Hawkins got fired as well. Curtis Axel is now, like, again, a backstage producer or road agent, whatever you want to call it. I saw him come out in a suit and try to break up a fight that was going on between somebody. It was some big pull-apart brawl segment. Him and a bunch of the other road agents come out and try to break it up, and I'm like, is that fucking Curtis Axel? What the hell? Dakota Kai, I think, is still in NXT. Priest. Dana Brooke had her thing. Daniel Bryan, we already talked about him. Danny Burch. Don't know what the hell they did with Danny Burch. He might still be in NXT. Don't care. Dash Wilder and I can't remember the other dude's name. They were known as the Revival in the WWE. They both left the WWE. They're in AEW now. But they do fuck all because, let's see. They came in, they were originally introduced in AEW to be a part of a faction with one of the biggest pieces of shit in wrestling right now. Piece of crap who goes by MJF. Maxwell Jacob Friedman. One of the biggest, lamest pieces of shit in the pro wrestling business. And this is one of the people who I mentioned earlier that I was going to have to talk about, because he's been getting himself into some shit lately. He had a big old... Good Lord. Okay, so the whole story with him. He has been in AEW for a long time, almost since the company's inception, I believe. He's been nothing but a heel because he can't do anything else. He's not very good. He's not a very good wrestler. He's not very good at promos. He's not very charismatic. All he can really do is do shoot promos To me, he comes off very much like Shane Douglas, if you know who Shane Douglas is. Basically, he can only cut shoot promos and just act like an absolute asshole. And he's been a heel his whole career because that's what his gimmick is. Um, Basically, his gimmick is, I'm better than you and you know it. And that sums it up very succinctly. He acts like a rich hoity-toity. He comes out basically in a suit with this like plaid scarf around his neck. He fucking sucks, dude. He's annoying as fuck. He's from Long Island, New York. And that's the only place he ever gets cheered. And he doesn't even really get cheered there because they were in Long Island for AEW. Here recently, he was having a feud with his former bodyguard and best friend, a guy named Wardlow. This big, huge, jacked brick shithouse kind of dude, who's basically been MJF's little bitch for I don't know how long. I'll get back to this in a minute. The whole thing. MJF was friends with Cody Rhodes for a while, and then they had a feud, and he spits in Cody's face during the match, and then Cody beats his punk ass. Um, then MJF attaches himself to Chris Jericho, who has his own little faction going on. What the fuck was it called? The Inner Circle. Jericho has this Inner Circle group. Whole bunch of dudes. Himself, of course. MJF. Um, these two Latin dudes, I can never remember their names. Either way. There's another dude, Sammy Guevara, who's another kind of big deal in AEW. Jake Hager, who you may remember as Jack Swagger from the WWE, he went to AEW. And he was basically Jericho's bodyguard. Um, but yeah, essentially what the gimmick was there, or the storyline was there, is that MJF was basically trying to take over the Inner Circle and take it away from Jericho. But he was trying to be covert about it. But he wasn't very good about it. It ends up culminating when MJF is trying to get the Inner Circle to turn on Jericho and blah blah blah, and they're not going to because nobody fucking likes MJF. Not even the other heels. He is such an unlikable douchebag that they side with Jericho. And they're all about to beat MJF's ass when he's like, you know what, I saw this coming, and the lights go out. And when the lights come back on, we have these other jabronis in the ring. I think Wardlow was one of them. Sean Spears, who is Ty Dillinger. Yeah, Sean Spears, that's his real name. He's a jabroni, so who the fuck cares? And then you also had the Revival jackasses, who now go by FTR. Where the fuck even was I in all this shit? Oh yeah, Dash Wilder and whoever the other dude was. They're now aligned with MJF. And so they ended up, what the fuck was the name of the group between them? I can't remember. Didn't fucking matter. That's all basically blown to shit now anyways, because the FTR boys recently teamed with CM Punk, who's also in AEW now. So their alliance with MJF is basically gone. MJF is basically leaving AEW because he thinks he's too good for the company. The way that happened, MJF was having a feud with CM Punk. And it ends up culminating in a dog collar match at a pay-per-view. And it looks like MJF is about to win. He's calling Wardlow down because Wardlow's basically been his bodyguard this whole time. He calls Wardlow down to the ring. He's like, hey, give me the ring. The ring is this stupid gimmick that they had. In AEW, they do this match every now and then. Some kind of a battle royal, I think, or some shit like that. I don't remember. But it's to crown... I think they do it once a year. But it's to crown some... or to give away this dynamite diamond ring. So he's got this big-ass diamond ring, and he puts it on, and he uses it like brass knuckles, and he'll just clock a dude and knock him the fuck out. And that's basically his finishing move, because he's not a very good wrestler. And so he calls Wardlow down, give me the ring, and Wardlow's like, I must have left it in the back, man. I don't know. He's like reaching into his... He's in a suit, and he's like reaching into his pockets like, I don't know, man. I can't find it. And MJF turns around and eats shit, gets nailed by Punk. And then Wardlow's like, you know what? I found the ring. And he puts it right here, and he's looking at Punk, and he's like, here's the ring, Punk. So he gives Punk the ring instead of MJF, and Punk ends up grabbing the ring and clocks MJF with it. And Punk is able to get the win. If you haven't noticed, MJF has basically been on the losing end of every feud he's been in AEW. Lost to Cody Rhodes. I think he eventually lost to Chris Jericho at some point. Big feud with CM Punk, loses that. And the finish of the match, the dog collar match with Wardlow kind of screwing over MJF, that leads to a feud between Wardlow and MJF, where MJF is like, I own your ass. I own your contract. You work for me. And he's like, you know what? I don't fucking like that you did this shit to me, so your ass isn't wrestling. You're not showing up on the damn show. Whatever the fuck. And they start working towards this storyline, which was basically the same thing as the storyline between the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Virgil, where Virgil was like working against his boss to get like his freedom. It was basically the same fucking storyline. So AEW is still guilty of ripping off old storylines because they can't fucking think of anything good there either. There was a big hoopla, the big pay-per-view that was supposed to happen here recently that did happen for AEW. There was supposed to be the match between MJF and Wardlow, where if Wardlow won, he got his freedom, he gets his contract back from MJF, and he gets to work for AEW as an actual contracted wrestler instead of working for MJF. And before the pay-per-view, there was supposed to be some kind of like a meet and greet fan thing going on where MJF was supposed to be. And he didn't show up. And it looked like he was going to no-show the pay-per-view as well. But he ends up showing up, gets his ass absolutely handed to him by Wardlow in what was basically a squash match. Wardlow beats the fuck out of him. Wardlow's finisher is a powerbomb, but he does it like a bunch of times. He did it like 10 fucking times on MJF, pins him, and gets the win. Like I said, it's basically a squash match. So, feud is over between the two of them. The next episode of AEW Dynamite, their big show, MJF comes out. He doesn't even give a fuck about Wardlow anymore. He comes out and he cuts a complete shoot promo, knocking Tony Khan, who's the guy who owns AEW, he's basically like the Vince McMahon of AEW. Calls him a mark, piece of he's just cutting a complete shoot promo, and it's terrible. All MJF can fucking do is cheap ass heel heat. He insults the crowd, the city, the local sports teams. It's generic heel heat, and it's garbage. And then he comes out just screaming his fucking head off. Tony Khan, you're a fucking mark. I want you to fucking fire me. Blah, 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 blah. And they cut his microphone off. And it was a complete duplicate of CM Punk's pipe bomb promo from the WWE several years ago. So much ripping off. Like, it was so bad. Since this happens, MJF has been removed from the roster on the AEW website, and we don't know if he's going to get fired or not. Supposedly, MJF has been pissed off for a long time that he's not making as much money as some of these other people. He's pissed off that all these ex-WWE guys are being brought in and being paid way more than him. He's like, I've been here since the beginning, I deserve more money, and I'm a fucking pillar of this company. No, you're fucking not. You're lame as fuck, and you suck. And he thinks he's going to go to the WWE and make more money. Like, they don't already have heels who could do the same gimmick he's doing. It's a joke. It's a sad, fucking sick joke. Ambrose is in AEW. Jon Moxley. Dexter Lumis got fired for some idiotic reason, even though he could have been a big star, although they probably would have had to switch up his gimmick. Ziggler, already talked about him. Oh boy, Dijakovic. He had a complete name change, gimmick change. I may have already brought this up in one of my previous Wrestling Rant videos, or maybe when I was playing 2K19. He was a part of a faction that ended up being led by Mustafa Ali. Retribution! Sorry, there's a cultaholic reference or some shit. Or maybe it's, I don't remember what it was. Who gives a fuck? The gimmick sucked. They were basically like trying to sabotage the company. And there was a whole bunch of them. There was this dickhead and a couple other people, and Mia Yim was another one of them. Yeah. Mia Yim was one of them, the only female member of the group. He still has the same gimmick, even though the group has broken up. Yeah. Don't know what the hell they did with Drew Gulak. He might still be in like NXT or something. McIntyre is kind of upper mid-card. EC3, I already talked about him. Fuck Edge. I already mentioned Elias. Ember Moon also got fired. She's now in AEW as well, going by her previous independent name, which was Athena. Eric Young went back to Impact Wrestling. Eric Rowan, I'm pretty sure he got fired by the WWE. I don't know if he actually has a contract with AEW, but he showed up there. Don't know about him. Fandango, I think, probably got fired as well, although I don't know. Him and Tyler Breeze went down to NXT for some reason, and they were going after like the NXT tag titles. And that's when Breeze got fired. I don't know what the hell. Balor, I already talked about what he's been doing here lately. He was in NXT for a while, and then he came back up to the main roster. I don't think he's in the company anymore. Goldberg was doing some shit with the WWE, but God, he really needs to stay retired. Goldust is in AEW. He got fired by the WWE. Think he got fired as well, but I don't know. The War Raiders, or the Viking Raiders, they're still around, but they're basically jobbers to other, like, bigger tag teams. He's the reason why Eric Rowan was in AEW. Harper was released by the WWE, went to AEW under his old indie name Brody Lee, and then he died. He was leading the Dark Order faction, but then he passed away, and people showed up to, like, mourn his death and everything. His son works for the company despite being like 12 fucking years old or less. They call him -1. He's a part of the Dark Order. Not a big fan of that one, but I mean, it's a way for them to give money to the guy's family, so I can't really fault him too much. Slater got fired. He wound up in Impact Wrestling. Sucked anyway, so I don't give a fuck. Hideo Itami. He went back to Japan after being fired. He went back to being known as Kenta. He joined the Bullet Club. Humberto Carrillo, he's the guy who was with Angel Garza. And the two of them, I've remembered the name of the tag team. Los Lotharios, I think is what they were called. But yeah. Not very good. She's still in NXT, I believe. He ended up going to AEW as well. Jake Roberts was a manager in AEW to Lance Archer. He's probably still in NXT. Jason Jordan, that was the guy's name. Like I said, neck injury or something, he had to retire. He also got fired, I believe. He might have been a part of something with EC3 and the Control Your Narrative thing. Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy just ended up getting arrested for probably more drug charges. God almighty. Jesus Christ. Think she got fired too. She barely did anything in NXT, so it didn't matter. Fuck the Usos, I don't like them. Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal got himself a pair of new little lackeys. He got rid of the Bollywood boys, Samir and Sunil Singh. He got rid of them and traded up to a couple of big, beefy motherfuckers who I might actually have in here. One of which fractured off and became his own thing known as Veer Mahan, who sucks a cock. He had a match against Rey Mysterio tonight on Raw, and it sucked. And he wins because he's this big, huge motherfucker, and Rey Mysterio is this scrawny little pipsqueak. And he's also way past his prime. He's got 2 bum knees, and he needs to fucking retire. Rey Mysterio does. And Rey's only really around because his son Dominic is starting his career in the WWE. And he still seems really green, but Rey's trying to help him, so... Joaquin Wilde. I think Joaquin Wilde is the same guy who used to be DJ Z in TNA. He went by a couple other names in TNA as well, but weird. And he's in this group with Santos Escobar and who the fuck ever this other dude is. Raul Mendoza. John Cena's coming back for his 20th year in the WWE, even though he hasn't really been in the WWE for 20 years because he hasn't been in the WWE for the past couple of years because he's been off in Hollywood and making shitty commercials on TV. So I don't know why they're celebrating 20 years when it hasn't been 20 years because he's been gone for a while. And he sucks. John Morrison was in the WWE. He was teamed up with The Miz again, and then they split up. And then Morrison got fired, and then he showed up in AEW as Johnny Elite. I mentioned before Gargano was probably going to be showing up in AEW here soon. Pretty sure she's already in AEW. She went back to Japan after she got hurt and fired. Don't know about him. Not sure. Don't think he works for the WWE anymore. Kane's basically retired. Anderson and Gallows are in Impact Wrestling. They also showed up in AEW for a while, but that didn't last very long. Karrion Kross also got released for some idiotic reason. I don't know how they fucked this guy over so bad. He was a big deal in NXT. Won the NXT title. Big deal. And then they bring him up to the main roster, and they had him lose to fucking Jeff Hardy in a piss-poor match that was like 2 minutes long. And he just loses to Jeff Hardy. And they also took Scarlett, his manager, away from him, who's his wife, actually, in real life. Takes his manager away from him and puts him in this stupid fucking, like, almost gladiator outfit. God, it looked dumb as shit. Took away everything from the character that made him cool. And then they have him lose to Jeff Hardy in 2 minutes. It's fucking shit. And then they released him. Oh well, he's probably better off this way. I don't think he works on the WWE anymore. He probably got released a long time ago. I don't know where the fuck he's been, but Chris Hero, you know, he's a great wrestler, so he'll always be able to find work. Don't know about her. Don't care. That's another one that's funny to me. He was also a big deal in NXT. Won the NXT title from Karrion Kross. They bring him up to the main roster. They completely shit the bed using the guy. And then they turned him into... What was the stupid nickname they gave him? Bearcat? I think it was Bearcat. They called him Bearcat Keith Lee. And it was a shitty nickname that didn't work, didn't get him over. And he either asked for his release or they just fired him. And he went to AEW. And he's teamed up with Swerve Scott in AEW. Why, I don't fucking know, but whatever. Already mentioned Owens. He's been gone from the company for a while, I think. Yeah. He still works as like an analyst during pay-per-views. Yeah. The New Day stuff, I think, is still going. I don't know what the hell they've been doing lately. Pretty sure he got fired. I already mentioned the Ascension guys. They've been gone for a while. Kurt Angle got retired by Baron Corbin. Don't know, don't care. Kushida, he might still be in NXT, or he might have gone back to Japan. I already mentioned him. Him and Cole and Bobby Fish went to AEW, and they suck. Lacey Evans got flipped between face and heel between Raw and SmackDown. I think she's back on SmackDown. She also somehow won her way into the women's Money in the Bank match. Because they showed a graphic that had her in it. That was after the tag team match with Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss winning. The two of them plus Lacey Evans have qualified for the women's Money in the Bank. So I don't know how Lacey qualified, but apparently she did. Lana, I don't think works for the WWE anymore. She'll probably show up in AEW to be with her husband, fucking Miro, that piece of shit Rusev, who was gone for a while and then recently came back in AEW. Lars Sullivan got fired. He sucked anyways. Lince Dorado, don't think he works there anymore. Pretty sure he got fired. He may have ended up in Impact or maybe AEW. We already went over Liv, Gallows, Luke Harper. Mandy Rose bumped herself down from being on the main roster to going back to NXT, and she's currently the NXT Women's Champion. After dyeing her hair brown, or possibly letting it go back to its natural brown, she's also the leader of a faction called Fatal Attraction with two other chicks. I can't remember their names. Excuse me. Already mentioned him. Maria and Mike Kanellis got fired, and I don't know where the hell they work. Probably in Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor got bought out by AEW as well. So Ring of Honor is basically like the NXT for AEW. Marina Shafir, she got fired by the WWE, and she was going to be the first female member of the Control Your Narrative thing with EC3. So that was something. Maurice is still in the WWE, although I don't think she works matches very often. Fuck the Hardys. There's Matt Riddle. Holy Christ. I got a really bad creation of him. The face is really bad. Yeah. I'm probably going to have to go ahead and get 2K22 just to get better versions of these people, because God. Mercedes Martinez, she was in NXT, and I think she got fired and maybe went to AEW? I don't know. I already mentioned Mia Yim. Mickie James got fired and went back to Impact No. Well, she might have went back to Impact Wrestling for a while, but now I think she works in the NWA. I just mentioned Mike, The Miz. Mojo Rawley got fired, but he sucked anyways. Half of the Street Profits. Mustafa Ali. He might have been the guy who got beat by Chad Gable earlier tonight with the Chaos Theory, the rolling German suplex. I think that actually is how that went down. They basically stripped away everything about him that made him cool. He used to have this like face mask that had all these little LED lights on it that would light up. That was gone. He also used to have this thing in his hand during his entrance, another light up thing. That's gone, despite them showing it in his Titantron video. And he still puts his hand up over his head. MVP, we went over him. Okay, now we get to this thing. Sasha Banks and Naomi were the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And they were booked to be in some multi-woman match, which would have seen Naomi win to become the #1 contender to, I think, Bianca Belair's Raw Women's title. But they didn't want to do that because they wanted to keep doing their bullshit with the fucking women's tag belts, which are worthless. Tag team wrestling is meaningless. No one gives a fuck. And certainly Vince McMahon doesn't give a fuck. So Instead of doing the damn match like they were supposed to, they decided to just walk out of the fucking show, leaving their tag team title belts behind. I think they put them down on Vince's fucking desk, and they just fucking left, walking out of the show and basically quitting the company. Um, this is not the first time Sasha has done some shit like this because she's a whiny little bitch. Her and Bailey did something similar when they weren't going to be crowned the inaugural women's tag team champions. That ended up going to the Iconics, and they threw a fit over that. But I think Sasha's actually going to get fired for this, and I hope she does because she fucking sucks. Sasha is one of the other girls who I was mentioning earlier, who is a scrawny, short little pipsqueak who is not physically imposing at all. She's got no fucking talent. She's got no fucking charisma. Her gimmick is trash, and she sucks. She's also injury prone and botch prone. She sucks. And I've never liked Naomi either. She's always been pretty goddamn terrible. She's got garbage for charisma. She can't cut promos. She's horrible. Her wrestling is terrible. And she sucks. And her only saving grace is she's married to one of the Usos. So, fuck the both of them. Natalia's still in the company, still slaving away, being wasted when she's way more talented than half of the women in the company. Nia Jax got fired, thank God. She sucked ass. Don't know about him. That's a CAW dude that I downloaded for something I was working on. And that's one of my created guys. Fuck the Bellas. We already talked about Nikki Cross. No Way Jose got fired a long time ago. Noam Dar. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, and I don't care. Don't know about Oni Lorcan either. I think he's still in NXT. We already went over Otis. Paige is apparently getting released by the WWE, finally, after being retired for God only knows how long, and them basically just paying her to sit at home. She's apparently being released. She also is not very happy with the WWE. Who could blame her? She'll probably end up in AEW. Probably. Because it's the only other big promotion, and I really don't think she's going to go to Impact Wrestling. Probably not Ring of Honor. Impact Wrestling is basically a joke at this point. I don't know. Pete Dunne. I think he got called up to the main roster after they gave him a fucking name change. And they turned him into this psychotic little fucking crazy little monkey motherfucker. Or that's what he acts like anyways. He's aligned with Sheamus and maybe somebody else. I don't know what the hell. Really weird, stupid shit. One half of the Iconics, they went to fucking Impact. What the hell did they get called? Don't remember. They got another stupid fucking name. Starts with an I. Primo and Epico both got released a long time ago. R-Truth has been slaving away with the fucking 24/7 title. That dumb bullshit. Orton got injured, so he's out for a while, but he was aligned with Matt Riddle, the RK Bro team. Don't know what happened to her. Might still be in NXT. Yeah, she was with, what is that girl's name? Dakota Kai. The two of them were heels. Dakota went heel. Her whole gimmick and everything changed. And then Dakota ended up turning on Raquel when it looked like Raquel was going to challenge for the women's title. I don't know how all that went down. I already went over Mendoza with his little team with Santos Escobar and whatever. Scott Hall recently passed away not too long ago. And that was kind of sad because he was actually a good wrestler and a good talent, although led astray by his own personal demons and his poor choice of friends in the wrestling business. He could have been a lot bigger star than he was. But again, personal demons and poor choice of friends really fucked his career over. Rey Mysterio, I already mentioned him. There's Rhea Ripley, a really bad creation of her. Like I said, she used to be blonde and now she's got black hair. I'm going to have to get a new creation of her. Rhino went back to Impact Wrestling. Ricochet is still also working for the WWE, although he's treated like a jobber, basically. We already went over Riddick Moss. Rinku. There's the guy who became Veer Mahan. He's the one with the chest tattoo. He still basically looks the same. The stupid face paint on his forehead, and the beard and the long hair and the tattoo and everything. But he fucking sucks. I don't know. I think Roderick Strong might be in NXT, or he might have just been released. I don't know. He's probably going to go to AEW, though. Reigns. Oh, fucking hell. Well, I already went over him. He's got both the World Heavyweight title and the Universal title unified in an undisputed title. Fucking sucks, though. Ronda Rousey came back after being away, also on maternity leave. Don't know what the hell she's been doing lately. The other half of the Viking Raiders or the War Raiders. Ruby Riott, we went over her. Rusev is in AEW. He's been there for a while. Miro, he still sucks. Sami Zayn, good lord. He's got long hair. He's got a big-ass bushy beard. He acts like a jackass. And he thinks he's friends with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline because he's helped them out a couple of times, but they won't help him for shit. So, yeah. Samoa Joe was released by the WWE and ended up in AEW. Really bad decision by the WWE. They should have kept Joe. He was good. He still is good. He's great. Don't know much about this guy. I'm pretty sure he still has the Cruiserweight Championship. But it's in NXT, so who the fuck cares? She got fired. That's old news. Sasha Banks, we just went over her. Sarav, he was the other guy who was with Jinder Mahal. Might still be with Jinder Mahal. Don't know, don't care. Scarlett, Karrion Kross's wife. Or Killer Kross. Scott Dawson, that was the dude's name. The other half of the Revival, now the FTR guys. My Sebastian Wolf dude. Rollins, we've talked about him. Shane got fired from the WWE because he had something during the Royal Rumble and they got fucked over with it, and Shane got fired. It was really, really weird. Shane Thorne may have been fired from the WWE. I don't remember. I don't know what the hell they're doing with Shayna Baszler, but I'm pretty sure she's still in the company. Sheamus is still in the company. Don't know about Benjamin, but he's really old and washed up. He needs to go away. Nakamura is still in the company. He teamed with Matt Riddle to take on the Usos. That was fairly recent. Shotzi Blackheart got brought up to the main roster, I believe, although her former tag team partner got fired. That didn't work out really all that well. Sin Cara's been gone a long time. Sonya Deville. She used to be the executive in charge of the women's division in the WWE. She was basically like that Adam Pearce dude that I mentioned earlier, how he was like the general manager. She was like the general manager of the women's division. But she got fired from that position for abusing her power, and now she's just a normal member of the women's roster. So she's back to competing as a wrestler. And she got her ass beat by Alexa Bliss when Alexa first returned after her whole therapy and all that other bullshit. I already mentioned Stephanie being removed from the company or taking a leave of absence, whatever it is. Austin had a match at WrestleMania against Kevin Owens, but he's still basically retired. Cutler probably also fired. I don't know. Sting also went to AEW. He manages this scrawny little pipsqueak named Darby Allin, who is just a fucking absolute retard who throws himself into these stupid fucking spots. The guy's basically a younger, scrawnier version of Jeff Hardy, where he is this retarded daredevil who just a spot monkey who does stuff really bad. And like he's so scrawny and so short and such a pipsqueak, like it's fucking retarded. But Sting's basically like his manager or mentor. Ugh, Jesus Christ. Tamina's still in the company. I mentioned she gets involved in the 24/7 shit, although why I don't know. Tegan Knox, that was her. She got fired, I think. She used to be partnered with Shotzi Blackheart. He might still be in the company, I don't know. NXT probably. Titus O'Neil is probably still some kind of ambassador to the company. He doesn't really wrestle anymore, I don't think. TJP's been fired a long time. Think he went back to Impact or something. Ciampa I mentioned earlier. He sucks. Tony Nese is in AEW. I mentioned that already. Tucker Knight got fired. He got fired and ended up in AEW. Sean Spears. Don't know what happened with Tyler Bate. He might still be in in NXT. He got fired. Taker retired. I think Vanessa Bourne got fired. Velveteen Dream, I know, got fired. He had some like sexual harassment allegations against him, and that was the reason why they fired him. I already went over Walter and Wesley Blake and all these other people. So yeah, that's the end of the list. And I already said what I wanted to say about that punk-ass piece of shit MJF. I really don't think he's going to get hired by the WWE because, like I said, they've already got other people doing the same shtick. I don't think they fucking need him. And he's way too fucking non-PG for him to fly in the WWE. So, I really don't think that's going to happen. But if it does, I wouldn't be surprised because the WWE is just filled with talentless pieces of shit. And they have just a few people who are actually talented and worth a damn. But they get buried in favor of the talentless pieces of shit. So it's... If they hire MJF and push him, I won't be surprised, but it's just stupid of them to do so because he's not worth it. He's not worth the money. He doesn't have the fucking talent. He sucks. So, I went over just about everything I can freaking remember from Raw tonight. And I talked about the bullshit in AEW. They've not been very good lately. CM Punk wins the AEW World title from Hangman Adam Page, who was the champion. Page won the title off of Kenny Omega. And Page was hanging on to it, and then Punk wins it, but Punk gets injured in the process of winning the damn belt, so he basically has to give it up. So now they're trying to crown some kind of interim champion. I mentioned Jon Moxley or Dean Ambrose. He's been in a group with Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, and their manager is William Regal. And they also have this Asian dude named Wheeler Yuta. I think he's Japanese. But they are known as the... Fucking what's the name of the group? It's named after a British city. Something Combat Club. I can't remember. But Moxley won a match here recently in AEW to get one step closer to becoming the new interim AEW World Champion. Moxley was AEW World Champion for a while, and then the belt got stolen by Kenny Omega, and they never really had a rematch. Omega has been absent from AEW because he got injured, and that was basically the only reason he lost the belt to Page. So Omega had to go away and deal with his injury, and he hasn't come back yet. Thankfully, because I think Kenny Omega is really fucking overrated too. Now, granted, he's good, but I don't think he's anywhere near as good as everybody says he is. He's very overrated. And he was a heel in AEW before he lost the belt to Page, and he was just so insufferable. It was just so bad. I was glad that he went away, because I'm just like, fuck off already, dude. You suck. He doesn't actually suck, but I just wanted him to go the fuck away for a while. Oh, and the other thing that I mentioned earlier is the bad commentary, not only in the WWE, but in AEW as well. AEW's commentary team, their normal commentary team is... Fuck, what's his name? He used to do commentary for WCW way back in the day. What was his name? Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone, as well as a former wrestler, masked luchador kind of wrestler. I think he goes by Excalibur. He's like the color commentary. They're the two normal commentary guys. And then they always seem to have extra people on commentary who are not needed. And it's really annoying because the two people that they have on commentary most often are fucking Chris Jericho, who I can't stand anymore. He's so washed up. He was washed up before he left the WWE. That list of Jericho crap was such garbage. Then he goes to AEW, becomes their inaugural AEW heavyweight champion, beating Hangman Adam Page, only to have, I think Moxley took the belt off of Jericho, and then Omega stole it from Moxley, and then Page beats Omega, and Page is beaten by Punk. And then Punk has to basically relinquish the belt because he's injured and he can't defend it. Jericho's been on commentary a lot, and so has Taz, who Taz has sucked a cock on commentary for so many fucking years. After his in-ring career ended in the WWE, I don't think he was ever really that good to begin with. He's also very overrated. He was in commentary in the WWE, and he sucked at it. They let him go, and he goes to Impact Wrestling, or TNA as it was at the time. He's on commentary there, and he sucks at it. He gets done there, and he goes to AEW, and he's on their commentary, and he sucks at it. And also, Taz is also a manager. He has this, like, Team Taz, who is full of these flunky-ass jabroni dudes who are complete nobodies. Especially this one dude, I think his name is Ricky Starks. His gimmick is he's a complete ripoff of The Rock in his Nation of Domination days. And that's basically all his gimmick is he's a ripoff. Because the guy can't make up his own fucking gimmick. And there's also this stupid FTW title that Taz had in ECW, and it's being fought over in AEW. I don't know why anyone gives a fuck about this belt. I don't even think it's sanctioned by AEW, so like, why the fuck does anybody care? Taz also has a son, which I don't know how anybody could stand to have a kid with that motherfucker. But Taz's son is grown up enough to be a wrestler, and he goes by Hook. And he's another scrawny little, short little motherfucker with a really bad fucking hairdo. He barely talks, and yet he wins matches left and right despite the fact he's still real green. And he has been in a gimmick lately, or a storyline lately, with a guy who's actually entertaining, and this is funny as fuck. What the fuck? Danhausen. Look up Danhausen on YouTube. He's got his own fucking YouTube channel. Love that Danhausen. That's the name of the channel, by the way. He's actually hilarious. He actually has his own fucking gimmick, because he actually came up with this shit himself. Face paint, it's based on several different things, but to me it looks like he's the lost member of the band Kiss, because it's very similar to that. A white base makeup with black shapes around his eyes and his mouth. There's a bunch of other inspirations to it. You can find interview with him on YouTube. He talked with Chris Van Vliet, who's a popular YouTube pro wrestling interviewer. But yeah, so he has this really weird gimmick. He tries to put this curse on people where he points at them like this, and it curses them somehow. The gimmick is like horror based, and it's part comedy. It's really weird, but it's hilarious. I like Danhausen. Don't really give a fuck about Hook, though. But the two of them have become friends, and they're like a tag team now. God. But just American pro wrestling right now is in a very sad, sorry state. And I can't help but blame the COVID stuff for a lot of the problems because a lot of these smaller promotions are still um, under restrictions and can't really have bigger shows because of the, social distancing and wearing masks and all this other stuff, despite the fact that it's all basically over with the COVID. You notice they haven't really been mentioning it all that much on the news anymore? First, it was the whole thing with Russia and the Ukraine that came up. That took top billing on the news. And then after that, it was the big trial between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. That took up all the stuff on the news. And now that that's over with, who knows what's going to be next? But they're not really talking so much about the COVID stuff anymore. And speaking of COVID, I actually had it back in January. Uh, was sick for about a week and then I got over it. I probably had the Omicron variant, so it wasn't really that bad. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for this video. I have been wanting to do this for a while, talking about AEW, that punk trash MJF, and a lot of the other dumb shit that goes on in AEW, and all the other dumb bullshit that goes on in the WWE. Both of those promotions are clown shoes. They're the two biggest wrestling promotions in North America, and they're clown shoes. The WWE seems to be going through this weird restructuring shit. Shane McMahon got fired. Triple H was out of the company for several months. Stephanie's now going out away from the company for a while. Vince, I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. There's this other dude, Nick Khan, who's gaining power in the company. I don't know if there's going to be some takeover and he's going to be the new CEO and like the whole McMahon family might be getting pushed out. I don't know. I don't really care because the McMahon family has been the main reason for the company being such crap for so long now. Especially Stephanie and especially Vince and Triple H. They have just been shitting all over this company and fucking it up. There's a reason why I don't watch this shit normally. It's boring. It's fucking boring, and I don't want to waste my damn time on it. I watched 3 damn hours of Monday Night Raw tonight, and it was boring as fuck for the most part. Fucking boring. It really was, man. And what really pissed me off were all the fucking commercials. And I couldn't skip them because I wasn't watching on fucking YouTube. So I had to sit through these long-ass, boring commercials for products I don't give a shit about. You could be watching on the WWE Network. Yeah, if I wanted to waste $10 a month giving it to the WWE, I might as well pull a 10 out of my wallet and set it on fucking fire. I don't think I'm going to be going back to doing the Wrestling Rant full time or on a regular basis anytime soon. I was thinking about coming back and doing it for like AEW, but the problem is AEW shows are on like Wednesdays and Thursdays, and I work those days. I work my day job, so I wouldn't be able to watch the show, take notes on it, and then record a video. Just not going to happen. So the only show I have a day off for is Monday Night Raw. And I'm not coming back to the WWE because it still sucks. It sucked when I fucking left, however many years ago it was, and it still sucks now. They have some talented people, but they get buried and treated like shit in favor of these talentless hack jabroni motherfuckers who just suck. And AEW isn't much better anyways. Their roster is full of a bunch of no-namers, people from the indies who maybe aren't that good. Some of them might be decent, who knows. And then you got a bunch of ex-WWE people. CM Punk, Christian, The Big Show and Mark Henry are both working in AEW. I don't think either one of them wrestles, but they do like commentary for maybe some of their B shows, or uh, they're like backstage interviewers or some shit, or road agents or some kind of crap. I don't know. You have them. The Revival dudes, they went to WWE. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people who were fired by the WWE who ended up there. So, a bunch of stars that were made in the WWE and then went to AEW. So, it's just. And the women's division in AEW is fucking crap. A whole bunch of no-namers, people who are just not stars. Eh, nah, just fucking no, dude. Just fucking no. And apparently they also want to do women's tag team titles in AEW, despite the fact they already have a women's world title, and they also have what is called the TBS Championship, which is the women's version of a television championship. They already have the TNT Championship, which is like their mid-card championship, where it's the television title basically, which is the men's version of it. And then they brought in this TBS title, which is the women's version. And it sucks. God. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up because it's past 2 in the morning. I need to get off here. But I wanted to do this video and just get some things off my chest. No one cares, but I do. I want to get my opinion out there because, especially with this shit with MJF, fuck him, and fuck him thinking he's worth more money, because he's not. He ain't worth shit. He's a punk-ass jabroni. He's not a very good wrestler, and he's not a very good talker either. Boring, generic heel heat. And he's basically a ripoff of what EC3 used to be in, like, the WWE and TNA. This kind of rich, pampered, uh, better than you, and you know it kind of gimmick. Is lame as fuck. Anyways, so I'm done for the night. Thank you all for watching. I doubt too many people will watch this, but we'll see. Don't forget to follow the Facebook page. I actually posted about doing this video earlier on Facebook while I was watching Raw, because I'm watching Raw and I'm like, I might as well do a video on this just to do something. But yeah, follow the Facebook page. Leave a like, a comment on the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Join up with the Wolfpack. I'm getting close to having my new PC ready. I need to buy 2 more parts. I'll cover this in probably another video, but we're getting close. And then once I have that new computer, we're going to be able to do some more content. I'll be able to play some PC games and some newer stuff, and we'll be able to do some good streams and recorded content, things like that. And yeah, I'll probably be able to do possibly some more wrestling content for anybody who might be interested in that. I may end up getting 2K22, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for 2K23 if they decide to add back the ability to do the custom entrances, because that's really a big deal to me. I'm sorry, but there was no reason for them to take that out of the game. They said it caused problems or whatnot, but I'm like, what problems? Because I didn't fucking see it. So anyways, thank you for watching. Join us next time for more. I will be seeing you later. But thank you all, and good night.